April 2023. Venue, University of Health and Allied Sciences at the Kofi and Nindohu.
Without solely depending on men to do it, to be able to take charge of their health when they need to, take charge of their children, other issues, without complete dependence on men. So when women are able to rise to this level, their future indeed will be bright. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Valley View University.
Yes. She said finances. So it means that you can't be empowered without kudi. Or, yes. Anybody from this line? Okay. So women empowerment, you need money. Don't forget.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Christine from Nurses Training. Okay, so gone are the days where we as ladies, we used to sit in the kitchen, we don't do anything. But right now, we have given the authority and the power. So I think the woman empowerment means the opportunity and the power as a woman to lead this country. So this opportunity will give us the chance to lead and have the hope to lead in the future too. That's what I understand about women empowerment.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want a guy. I think the ladies asked. Okay, we have the SRC president for University of Health and Allied Science. He's a capitalist.
Great. So I think that women empowerment is a multidimensional thing. It's not merely about economic benefits or even educational benefits per se. It's a multidimensional thing because you have to analyze the society in which you are in. Things like traditional gender roles, things like the history of that society. Have women been marginalized in any way? How best can you enable these women to achieve enough political power? Because mind you, governance dictates the things that go on in women's lives. For instance, very heavy taxes on sanitary pads, etc., etc. It also means that you need to do a lot of literacy and awareness, because what happens is that
encourage the upcoming women to also know that I also have a hope somewhere or even if I also stand, I can also achieve something. And about the change, about how the future can be changed. Okay, can be different. Okay, it's about, for example, us sitting here, as we are seated here right now, and we listen to the experienced women talk and impart their knowledge into us. As we put ourselves into the knowledge we gain, we also move on that steps and achieve something, thereby reducing the women dependency ratio in the future. Also, that will also be doing something for ourselves. And about the third one, that is how men can contribute to the future change. And it can also reduce, that also promote the future change on the side of the men, that those men, that, especially those who are here and those who do the housewife things, men who are here will also know that the women can also do something and also allow them to show their interest in every aspect of their life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your contribution.
Esther, I see one hand at the far back. That will be the final. That hand should be the final person to speak, and then the program proper comes in. So you can see a fine lady has joined me here. Otai kwa brochure. Otai kwa brochure. Oshekala ne cry tells, right? Yeah. Harriet Nate is the host of Diplomatic Affairs on Pan-African. No.
Well, hello, good morning, everyone. Oh, the energy is low, but I think before we do this, let's listen to the young lady first, then I'll take the opportunity to introduce myself. Please, let's hear you out.
Okay, please, my name is Hussein Osman from Islamic University. And what I understand about women empowerment is it comes in different aspects, such as gender equality, giving the chances to women, like when it comes to education, women are limited to certain extent. So from my understanding, I think women empowerment comes in equality, gender equality. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so my name is Harriet Nate. I host Diplomatic Affairs on Pan-African Television. I am a journalist by profession, and at this point, I think I would say we are all excited to be here, and I hear our guests are ready, and so I'm sure they are getting ready to usher them in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's all be upstanding as we usher our guests in with all due respect. Please show some love. We have our guest, Anna Prats. We have Tracy Owusu Ado. And the finest honorable in the whole parliament. Honorable
the member of parliament for North Song is in the building as well.
See the brother bill. Look at the town. Look at the other look at my doesn't matter how you feel. This is the strength of the human. Everybody can get the boss thing. Honorable, you're welcome. You agree with me that you are the finest member of parliament we have right now. You agree?
Well, you are right. Absolutely right. Honorable also serves as part of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. So for me, he's one of our go-to persons when it comes to diplomacy and international relations. But I'm still waiting to interview him on diplomatic affairs, though. Honorable, we have witnesses, so I'm going to just ask, when are we hosting you on diplomatic affairs? All right, thank you very much.
This is a hijack.
Yeah, it is always stressful.
Wait, let me ask you. Hold on. How does it feel like every time you appear, they have to play a Sarkodie song? And the Sarkodie are monument. I can't play my own one of them. I mean, how does it feel to be Sarkodie's wife, first of all?
We all want to know, but I'm sure this is a story she will be sharing very soon. And of course, we have our boss, the chief servant of Pan-African television, the chief servant. Amma Pratt is here with us as well. Please, let's show some love.
Oh, but there's something you guys, I'm not sure you know. Amma Pratt and Tracy have something in common. Minka. Should I say? No, there's one thing in common. All right. You guys don't know Kwame Onsudanso. Do you know him? Okay, I'll tell you that story later.
Okay, then we will wait for that story later. But we are super excited to be here. I see the room is full, and this is a sign that we are hungry. And of course, I am hungry as well. The future can be different. That is the theme for Obaasima Campus Tour. The future can be different. Well, the future can only be different when you do things differently. Are we ready to do things differently? Are we ready? Because we have all these important people here. We have Tracy who will be sharing her journey, not just as a wife. She's an entrepreneur as well. And of course, we've been following her. She's been able to do it so well. She's done mothering, she's done working for herself, and she continues to inspire so many of us. We wonder how she has been able to do this, right?
Amazing.
And we have a policy maker in the house. When it comes to policy making, when it comes to what we are told to do in this country, you know, we have people whom we have actually selected to represent us in the House of Legislature, and I'm talking about Parliament. And of course, our honorable member here is one of those people who will be sharing with us. We'll talk about the affirmative action bill, is that right?
You and him.
Oh, yeah. I'm asking me to, please. It's not my fault. Honorable can understand. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about so many issues surrounding women and how we are going as a country, because we also have a role to play in the development of our beautiful country. And of course, Amma Pratt here will also tell us the journey. Some of us have the privilege of really witnessing the journey every day. As it is, she summoned all of us here this morning. And so, Amma, we are here for you. Kwaku, what do we have
just
next?
as all of you have got to know our guests now, let me introduce you to our guests as well. Our guests, we have students from Ho Nursing Training College. Am I right? Where are they? Let me hear your shouting. Also, we have a few students from Islamic University.
Are you here? Let's feel you. Are you here? Okay. Nice.
I understand we have some people from Valley View University as well. Valley View.
Valley View? All right, I see a few hands. Thank you so much for joining us.
And then what actually impressed me most is that we have young men from Mauli Senior High School.
Woo! The he for she's. Thank you so much for joining us.
I don't know if there's any other group, but I know that the school hosting us has, there's another group.
Yeah, there is. Okay. Hold on. Please tell us where you're coming from.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Grace. I'm the Women's Commissioner for Central University. And
oh, Central University.
Thank you so much, Grace.
Amazing. All right, so now that we have got familiar, the program will get started. And just so you know, it's streaming live on TV, on Pan-African TV, on Facebook as well. Let's call the president of the host school to give us our welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Roger Lushroff.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire community of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Obaasima Summit. As a Students' Representative Council, we are doing our part to ensure that we empower women as much as we can through initiatives such as the Safe Path Project, a menstrual hygiene outreach to female students, Miss UHAS, a pageant for female students to showcase their talents and abilities, as well as impacts the community through projects and the UHAS Sanitary Bank, which is a new initiative of my administration to provide menstrual hygiene support to female students. We hope that we can get the needed assistance to make all these initiatives come to full fruition. Today, however, we have gathered here to celebrate the spirit of womanhood, to discuss the various challenges faced by women in our society, as well as the successes that have been chalked by many women of valor. This summit is a platform for women from all walks of life to share their experiences, their ideas, and their insights on how to empower women in all spheres of life. We are privileged to have some of the most prominent and accomplished women leaders from various fields with us today, who will be sharing their wisdom and experience with us. From Mrs. Tracy Owusu-Addo, the CEO of Brave Connect Ghana, the Brave Part Fund, and wife to probably the greatest rapper Ghana has ever produced, to Ms. Amoprat, the Executive Director of the Obaasima Foundation and the General Manager of Pan-African Television, whose brainchild is this summit. We also have with us Honorable Samuel Okuchetu Ablakwa, a personal political role model of mine, who will also provide his valuable insights on creating an environment conducive to women's growth and success. We hope that these discussions will raise awareness and inspire action towards creating a more equitable and just society. As we begin this summit, let us remember that women are the backbone of our society, and that empowering women is essential for the growth and development of our nation. Let us pledge to work together towards a future where women can achieve their full potential. Once again, I welcome you all to the Obaasima Summit and hope that this summit will be a fruitful and enlightening experience for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can just leave it there. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Right, women are the backbone of our society indeed. Thank you so much, which is why we are all here to take some inspiration, get empowered, fired up, and begin to do what is expected of us as women. Kwaku, what do we have next?
Yeah, so before we take all the fire and the empowerment, there's a gentleman in the house who is willing to give us a brief education on menstrual health, I believe, menstrual health, and he is in the person of Emmanuel Delali Fayosi. I understand he's a legal aid to the SRC of this campus, and he works in hand with Mary Stopes as well. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Emmanuel.
Hello. Hello. Okay, so I just want to have a bit of an interactive session. So my name is Emmanuel Delali Fayosi. I am a final year medical student here and the legal advisor to the SLC. I also serve as the chairperson to the Mary Stopes Youth Advisory Board. And I would like to share a few thoughts with you as well as get your views on menstrual hygiene. So I bring you greetings from members of my board and as well as my supervisors. I think menstrual hygiene is very important, as well as menstrual health as a whole and women's health. For many women around the world, managing menstrual cycle has become a daunting task due to many factors. Some of these factors include access to clean water and sanitation, making it already difficult because menstruation can be a very difficult task. I mean, there are changes when it comes to the hormones and how you feel, and when it comes, some people have diarrhea. I'm just trying to make it interactive. So people experience diarrhea and all that, and they need a lot of support. So generally, it can be very difficult. Recently, I was interacting with one of my female friends who talked about how she has anxiety when she travels, when she's in her period, because she has no idea of a place where she can actually stop and probably change her pad conveniently. And combining all these with menstruation alone can be very difficult. And in certain areas where access to water is very difficult, I mean, there are inequalities when it comes to access to water, especially in the northern regions, where women are not able to access clean and safe water on a regular especially when they're in their menstrual cycle, especially when they're menstruation, sorry. So it also tells us that sanitation is not just something we talk about, but very important when it comes to menstruation, especially access to clean water when one is menstruating and access to facilities. Okay. Then again, we can talk about period poverty. So period poverty essentially is the inability to access menstrual hygiene products such as pads, tampons, etc. And in Ghana, I think this is essentially more difficult due to our taxes on menstrual products. I think Honorable Member of Parliament will give us more insight on that. But also, especially in the northern regions, we have a lot of school-related, menstrual-related school absenteeism, and that's a very big problem. Why is this a big problem? I think we fail to look at it, and we look at it as a women's issue, but essentially, I can say it's an issue of the human race. So the World Health Organization actually came out with certain policies, and they termed it as child survival strategies. And as part of child survival strategies, one of the things that was included is female education. So what World Health Organization is telling us is that once we're able to educate more women, it means that our children will do better. And all of us have been children before. It means when this happens and women are unable to go to school as a result of menstruation because they cannot afford the menstrual products or as a result of stigma, it means you and I may not be able to survive past the age of 5 years. That's what it essentially means, because these are strategies that ensure that children actually do well. So since all of us have been kids before, it means that if we don't pay close attention to some of these things, in the next 3 to 5 years or 10 years, we are going to have challenges as to how well our children survive when they are given birth to, because having better educated women and mothers ensures that we have children who are doing well, and essentially means all of us will be doing well. Indira Gandhi said that women's education is almost more important than that of boys. She said it's almost more important than that of boys. I mean, boys are essentially not left out of it. There are so many things we can do, actually, to ensure that women feel more comfortable when they're menstruating. I mean, we can do a lot to reduce the stigma. We can also do a lot to support our spouses, family, and friends in their education and career. I think women have for so long been supportive spouses and partners to men in achieving their goals and aspirations, and I think we can do the same for them. So there are lots of issues to address. So when it comes to these as well, I believe that in as much as women are unable to finish school and get good jobs, that's essentially empowers them financially. We should be able to have avenues to be able to provide women with skills, employable skills, skills that are payable. So essentially providing women with these skills will ensure that they are free from period poverty. Hello? Hello? Yes. So essentially we've gone through some of the main things that I believe can affect women's health, right? And more focus being on menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. The guys are not left out. There's still a lot you can do to help your sisters, your female friends, your partners. Essentially, what I always say is that our nuclear family systems are basically the best ways of us empowering women. Whatever you believe here, whatever we say here, it starts from your home. How you approach your sister is basically how you're going to approach your wife someday. It may seem vague, but these are things we learn in our subconscious. You are not going to change when you get married. You are not going to change all of a sudden. I mean, these are things we can look at. Then again, it goes to our parents, how we bring up our kids. They have permanent impact on how they relate with females. So essentially, our nuclear families are the primary form of socialization. When children are born, their value systems and all the morals usually stem first from our homes and our families. And Ghana essentially is moving away from an extended family system, more to a nuclear family system. So essentially, our nuclear family systems, if we ensure that the right values are passed in these nuclear family systems, will help us to be able to achieve these goals. And I believe the future will definitely be different if you're able to hit on some of these things. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much. Yes, the future can be different when we begin to address some of these issues. Thank you so much for sharing this important information or educating us on menstruation. Well, this is the part where I have the honor to introduce the CEO for the Obaasima Foundation, Ama Pratia, to tell us why we are here. Please, let's show some love. Let's show some love. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, please.
1, 2.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you?
I was just about to
you
fly.
want to do my job,
sorry.
Ama.
Sorry, Harriet.
But how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
This is very encouraging, the numbers.
Yes, indeed it
What do you
is.
have to say about that?
Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Ama, please take it over.
Hello. Hello. Oh, come on, we can do better than that. For us at Obaasima, it's all about the vibes, isn't it? Vibes on vibes on vibes on vibes. So, hello. Yes, I like that. So, like I was explaining to Harriet, I can't start if I don't say thank you. It's a Good Friday. I know what Good Friday means to all of us. So I like to properly say thank you to all of you for starting off your Easter with Obaasima. Of course, that goes without saying. I have to say thank you to you, Honorable. Thank you so much. Thank you to you, Tracy. Really appreciate this. Thank you. But then it goes to show that we are very careful with the people that we come to you with, right? People that have real, genuine commitment to this thing that we all dream about and we all, permit me to say, fantasize about. So thank you once again. Why are we here today? Today we are here to have a conversation that perhaps we started in 2019, right? Our dream, and I'm saying our, because right now, it is our collective dream. We had our president welcome us. Our president shares in the vision, so it is ours. This dream that we have of a gender-equal world, that's why we are here today. Today, our conversation is very simple. The future can be different. Can we say it out loud, just for a second? Yeah? The future can be different. The future can be different. That's our conversation for today. I want us to take a minute and think about that. The minute we start thinking around the future being different, it looks as though we are almost saying something is not right with the now. Is that a good deduction? Right? Why are we dreaming of a future that needs to be different? It's like we are agreeing that then the now can be better. Right? So let's look at the now. Let's look at the now. And I want just 3 people. What is it about the now that you hope
I have right now, the SRS Women's Commissioner. I want a future where there's just not a special role for women so that you can feel comfortable.
Okay.
I'm Roger Maxwell, literate from University of Health and Allied Sciences. So the now, we are already being choked to death with taxes. Yes, but for the women most especially, sanitary pads are now so expensive. So expensive. So recently Scotland had their legislature pass a bill, now prices are down, so I'm hoping that can be done in Ghana. Also, on the front of politics, when I was talking about women empowerment, I think I mentioned political power. Yes, I think we should be aiming for a ground where both genders, or both men and women, can compete fairly, where merit is what determines what happens, and the back channel doors on nepotism and all of that are a thing of the past. So I hope our women stop being choked to menstrual death with taxes. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Very valid. Because you know what marriage is. It can make you, and it cannot make you. It's a very big decision that nobody should take lightly or make lightly. That's both men and women. Because it's one of those things that we are in together. We are in it together. For the marriage, I can't tell you I have a marriage conversation and speak to only the ladies. It's the ladies and the men. We are in it together. It's both of us. So, I mean, just because you brought it up, let me give my small sisterly advice and say that let's make the right decision. Forget about the age. Let's make the right. People go into marriage and in a year they are divorced. People will marry late in their 40s and they will stay married and have a beautiful life for the rest of their lives. Of course, I'm not going to stand here and be naive and not talk about the biological clock for women. It's real. But, again, I got married at 32. So, let's just throw it there, right? So, one of those very, very, very personal decisions that you make for yourself, but always be conscious that it is very important. I can't underplay it. I'm not about to stand here and tell you that marriage is bad. No, it's not. It's beautiful. But I'm also not going to stand here and tell you that marriage is roses. No, they are thorns. But you make a decision, and if I'm pushed to say, because I normally don't like to veer into these kind of conversations, but if I'm pushed, I would say that, okay. If I'm pushed and I have to give one advice, I'll say marry a kind person. A good, kind person. Okay? Yeah, that's what I would say. Okay. So, the future can be different. We've had, all of us clearly have notions in our minds about things that can be different or things that should be different, right? We know that the situation we have today can be better. I say that in our women empowerment conversations and in our women empowerment, advocacy, we have chalked some successes. On paper, it looks good. I was at a program at PPAG and I was given the statistics. I think that presently we are told that we've achieved gender parity in education, at least for the primary school level. So on paper, we are good, right? But I always say there's what's on paper and then there's what's actually on the ground. Like I always give the example of Nanekria. I'm sure I'm beginning to sound like a broken record now. When Nanekria lives at home with all brothers, it's just herself and her brothers. And every morning she has to wake up, they wake her up, she's the first to wake up. She has to sweep, get food ready for everybody, make lunch for everybody. By the time they get to school, she is tired. Her brothers are just chilling, right? When they come back home, they are doing their homework. She's getting supper ready. Because in our minds, we are training Nanekria to be a homemaker. Because at the end of the day, with all of her education, and no matter where she works, and the money that she makes, even if she's the CEO or the boss, she will still become a wife and a homemaker. Right? Isn't that our reality? So on paper, she has the same opportunities as Kofi. Is that the reality? Are their situations the same? Right. So I dare say that we have come forward. We've achieved the paper. What's left is the practice, the culture, the everyday lived experiences. And that is the most difficult place to make change. That's the hardest. That's the hardest place to make change. Isn't it? Right? How do we make change? A few suggestions. How do we make change?
So I think for me, I keep saying that to make actual change, it starts from our nuclear family systems. I think we do the talking and everything, but what I truly believe is what I was brought up with, and it stays with me. So what we do at home, so it's up to us. Now we know better as guys here. We can notice certain things. Maybe we may not be able to stand up to our parents, but I mean, it means if you have an Anekia at home and she's your only sister, you can start by helping her or by picking up your own slack so that she doesn't have to come and help you out. I mean, it's that same thing. I mean, and when I was talking, I said that you are not going to learn these things when you get married. It's eventually what you were doing at home in your nuclear family that you are going to do when you get married is these things. I mean, if we start teaching women that essentially are going to be homemakers, so the education and everything else don't matter, they carry that notion. So we see a lot of women not venturing to things like STEM because they are too concerned about their families and bringing up children that no matter what you do, even in countries where legislation has been made for women to actually go into these areas, you still realize that women are still not going to those areas because it's deeply ingrained in their minds. It's very difficult to take those things out. So it's our nuclear family systems that can help.
Thank you. Absolutely. I see a hand. Can somebody get a microphone to her? Before she comes in, spot on. one thing he said that had me excited: we pick up our slack. Right? And this is a joke that I have with my friends. This concept of a self-cleaning house.
Sure.
Please laugh with me, it's funny. The concept of a self-cleaning house, where you live with people, and it's almost as if there's a belief that the house will clean itself. No, it doesn't. Right? The house doesn't clean itself. It is effort. And this is the truth. It's hard when you're in a position of privilege. When a certain system benefits you, it's hard to think of it changing and then to actually involve yourself in the change process. So in our society, it's the woman who does the cleaning, it's the woman who does the cooking, it's the woman who is the homemaker. Nothing wrong with that. I clean happily, I cook happily, I enjoy it, I tell you no lies, I do. Right? I actually believe that there's some power that comes with it. I do believe that. But the way it works for me, I would hope that it works for my partner too, my partner in life. Isn't that the whole concept of marriage? Your partner in life. No? So the minute we have these conversations, we are going to come up against a woman. I'm very happy that it's a man who took the microphone and went there. Can we be partners in every sense of the word? You see that your sister has been given the full load of work in the house, and I'm coming to you, my guys. She's the one that has to sweep. She's the one that has to cook. She's the one that has to... And you can see it. I know that it's hard to talk to your mother and say that, Mommy, but can you just help her? Can you appreciate your role in all of that? I think it's Chinua Achebe who said that ability to cook and nourish yourself is not a gender skill, is it? It's not a gender skill. It's a life skill. It is. She said something else, I'm afraid to say it. Oh, I said Chinua Achebe, forgive me. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, my favorite author. She said that. She says your ability to cook doesn't come pre-installed in your... Hey, my people. Who knows this quote? I'll give the person a present. This is a famous quote from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Who can tell me this quote?
Madam, what quote?
Wow. Are you guys reading? Do you love to read? Are you sure? Okay, so please, I'm recommending this author to you. Her name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Some of her books are Purple Hibiscus, Half of the Yellow Sun, We Should All Be Feminists. Please, go and read. Go and read about her. Please, that's your assignment. Go and read about her. If you don't like reading, go and watch her YouTube videos. She has plenty of videos on YouTube. Go and watch. Okay? Hello? Hi. Do we have a deal? Yes. Are you sure? I'll come back and find out too. So, I mean, these are conversations that need to be had, right? But these are all personal level conversations. Let's take it a notch higher. And these are things you hinted about. Even in our SRC setups, what's the highest position for the woman? Who come? Vice. Sorry? You have a president. Woo! What university? Your SRC president. Sorry? Provincial president. What does that mean? Right. Okay. And she's not here? Why? But yeah, take the clap on her behalf. Let's clap for the lady. Yes, I think some of the campuses are doing well. Last year when we were at the All Nations University 2, the SRC president there was female. So yes, every now and then. University of Ghana, we've had, Islamic University, your SRC president is female. Wow, there we go. I know that GIJ has a vice president that's female. I know that KNUST nearly had its first female president in the person of Yvonne. I know that Legon had Linda. That also didn't work out. But we are still pushing. They are all encouraged to go again next year. And I'm proud to say these are all Obaasima ladies. Because we need to, and I'll explain why. When we were at GIJ 2 years ago, there was a big debate, right? And the debate was about whether giving sexual favors to get ahead in life was a moral issue or it was a survival issue, right? And the room was split into two, with some insisting that it's a moral issue. How can you do that? Right? And others saying, how can I not do that? What are my options? Right? And I couldn't dare take a stand. Because, the minute a lady can lift up her hand, take a microphone, and insist that for her, it's a survival issue to give sex to advance, we are in trouble. It's a sad, sad, sad reality. My suggestion, or the only thing that I kept thinking about at that time, was that if she goes to office number 1, and it's a male boss, and he says to her, meet me in room 109, and she says, get away, and she goes to office number 2, and it's a male boss, and he says, meet me in room 593, and she says, get away, and she goes to that, keeps happening, and eventually she enters an office, and it's Tracy that's the boss there. How do you think she would feel? Because at least, if for nothing at all, over here, she has a chance. No? At least over here, she will be accepted or rejected based on her CV, based on what she has to say. Do you understand why, as women, it is our responsibility, not a choice, it is our responsibility to make sure that we find ourselves in leadership? Do we understand why? Presently, every lady should be aiming to have a seat at any table that matters around her. It is the only chance some ladies will ever have. Do we understand that reality? That is the only opportunity, the only chance. That will be the 0.001% for some young lady somewhere. Do we appreciate that? And that is how, for me, the future can be different. I'm socialist. So in my circles, I am constantly bashed. Because saying this means liberal feminism. Right? It is not a very revolutionary thought. And I know that even as I say this and it's live on TV, it's going to be put on TV, even if it's not live, I'm going to get into trouble. Right? Because we are told that it is about the center. We are aiming for a world that works for everybody from the center, from the heart. Yeah? where all of us, all peoples of the world are equal and we all have the same opportunities. And capitalism doesn't enslave anybody. I dare say the woman's fight is harder. Let's start from there. Let's start from there. Yes, indeed, I completely agree. I'm a socialist. There are structures that need to be broken down and smashed, and, the world order as it stands now, it can't continue to exist. If it continues to exist, some of us will never have chance. Third world, we can have those conversations. But it starts from somewhere. And I dare say that the woman's fight is always harder. So let's start from there. That's why representation is key for me. I'm not saying that let's put a few privileged women there and leave the rest. No. I'm saying that let's put women there who will carry everybody else along with them. No? Is that a future you can think about? Am I alone? Am I alone in this thing and that is why every time, for me, there's a man and there's a woman, sorry, Honorable, I run towards the woman. I do. I see your faces. Sorry, guys. I do. I run towards the woman. Because I think it was only last week that somebody said something that really struck me. I think it was the Honorable Zanata Rollins. And she said that we do these quota systems, right? Wherefore, we say, oh, let's have this percentage of women. Let's have this percentage of women. And so that becomes the whole thing. If it's 5% of women, then we try and put that 5% there so that we are politically correct. No? We don't even look for the best women or the competent women. We just want women, 5% of women. 5%? What actual facts? How many? That's 11? Okay, let's do 11 women. Right? Is that concretely helping our situation? No. No. So then what's our tax? What's our tax? Our tax is not to wait. We can't sit back and wait for that situation to keep persisting. We have to now put up our hands and say, what? Yes, I'm here. And I can do it. If in every race we have 3 men, can we have 5 women? Can we? Can we try? Because this thing about WUCOM and women's organizer, where it's like the domestic wing of everything, it's becoming a little problematic. Even in our political parties. The women's organizer is the organizer of food and water, forgive me. Welfare, that's her tax. So as we are working hard and campaigning and working, I'm hungry. Where is Grace? Where is the women's organizer? Am I lying? That's the truth. Is that all we can offer? Is that all we can do? Is that all we can do? No. So can we start putting forward our hands and going for the election and losing the election and going for the election and losing the election and going and losing so we win? No? And in this thing, we can never do it without our male counterparts. It can never. I speak about the women constituency all the time. I have, eloquent words. to talk about the women's constituency and the fact that we are always the majority. Take any country, the women are more. And if we decide as a constituency who we want to be president, who we want to be MP, who we want to be SRC president, who we want to be class prefect, it will happen, right? But I'm also minded, perhaps even by what just happened in Parliament. Let me move away from Honorable as I talk about this. That interests are very different. And so, can we have some progressive men on our side? Who can make this happen? And here, let me speak about the woman that says, I'm not sure I'm feminist. That one, it confuses me more than anything in this life. Like, I'm sorry. I don't understand it. What is feminism? What is it? What is it? Somebody who believes that both men and women should be given the same opportunities. Somebody who believes that both men and women can make a change and will make a change if given the same opportunities. Somebody who believes that this world can work for both men and women if we all put our hands to work and make it happen. What's wrong with feminism? I'm very feminist and very proud. Very. I wear it here. If I had a chance, if I introduce myself, I'll say, hi, my name is Amma. I'm a feminist. Right? There's nothing wrong with feminism. Has it been corrupted? Let's have that conversation. Has it? Has it been corrupted? You guys think so? I disagree. I disagree. Right? Because, and this is something that somebody pointed out to me again at PPAG. This year, their women's, for International Women's, International Women's Day events, and I was a speaker. And as I was speaking, and this feminism issue came up, I thought to be nice. I said, yes, I'm proudly feminist, but I understand where you're coming from. And I was going round and round and round and round in circles, and somebody lifted up a hand and said, Madam, what is it? Is it because a few women are radical and are being nasty? What is wrong with that? Because sometimes to make change, it takes a little bit of what we call nasty. Let's look at the Black and Proud movement. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about apartheid. Again, reminded by Parks, my friend from South Africa. Apartheid in South Africa. For blacks to feel like they were equal to the whites, you think it came nice and sweet and on a silver platter? No. It took a few people to say, hey! Right? So if a few women are saying, hey! What's wrong with that? Is it so bad? Is it? Because sometimes, let's be real, sometimes we need to say, hey! Sometimes it needs to be said. Sometimes we need to wake ourselves up. Sometimes we are sleeping. Somebody has to say, my guy. And if we don't do that with ourselves consciously, persistently, deliberately, the future can never be different. Never. Even in Ghana, it took Dosajifo to say, this Tea Party, this self-government in the shortest possible time, where we are writing letters and doing diplomacy, it won't get us anywhere. Aluta! And today, we are all proudly Ghanaians, happily Ghanaians, independent Ghanaians, right? So if a few women want to shout, by all means, let them shout. I'm not going to police somebody else's activism because it's making a few people uncomfortable. Sometimes it's important. There are periods in our history that one too is necessary. Right? I hear things like feminists don't get married. I'm married. Feminists don't want to have children. What are you saying? Feminists are rude. Okay, most of the time I'm not rude. Right? I say, feminists make the best lovers. Go and ask my husband. Right? So please, we can make a difference if all of us realize the part that we play in this and start doing. And that's the same thing I said at GIG. I said, let's do. And for me, you being here is doing. But it's doing number one. There's so much more to be done. And for anything to happen, we need to work. We need to appreciate. And that's the flip side of feminism for me. Right? The other thing about women insisting that me, I'm not a feminist, is when they want to be kept, when they want to be taken care of. So the women who want to sit at home and be beautiful, right? And think about their life. So the men can go and work and bring the money. They say, me, I'm not, this feminism, me, dear. Me, I'm homely. Right? But we are worth so much more than that, are we not? There's so much more to us than that. I am actually not a speaker today, so this is just like an introduction to who our actual speakers are, and that would be the Honorable Samuel Okudjo-Tablaka and Madame Tracy Owusu-Addo. And they are gossiping about me now. So I leave you with this. And this is just, the little thing that I want to leave you with. I just want you to think about that. Is that, what do you think I want to leave you with? Oh, there's a hand. Okay, there's a hand there.
1, 2.
My name is Priscilla Kufu from the University of Health and Allied Sciences. I would want to make a little contribution and also say something. So with all these impact programs that are being made, there's one thing that I've observed. You come, you tell us we can do this, we need more women at the top, but there is something that is lacking on the ground. And that is me identifying myself as a woman. If you should question most females here, ask them their qualities, what they feel they can do, I tell you, majority won't be able to answer. It's like a pattern has been laid, and because they say, oh, we need women at the top, I'm just going through. Most women are not determined. We are just going. Anywhere I get to and I feel tired, I stop. So I think in such programs or avenues, you should also help us to identify ourselves. Like, tell me, if I am a woman, this is what I can do. This is my power. And help me to exercise that power that I have. I think when we all have this understanding, when we all have this knowledge, making impact will be very easy. Because if all of us here have the opportunity to make impact we are coming from different aspects of Ghana. If you are to make impact at anywhere we find ourselves, I think the job will be very easy for you. That everyone, yes, the job will be very easy. So I think in such avenues, people should make us know ourselves better. Help us to know ourselves better so that we can exercise our powers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again. So you quoted Chimamanda. Yes, Chimamanda has a piece called Dear Ajawele, something like that. It was a reply to, yes. So Chimamanda says that you should teach her on raising a girl child. You should teach her that not everybody will like her. You should teach her that that's fine. Some other person will like you if one other person doesn't like you. You should teach her that she's not just an object to be admired and liked, but she is also someone who can also like and admire another thing, right? So there's that. The same thing was echoed in, I like reading a lot, so I'm going to quote a lot. The same thing was echoed in Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, where he talks about a fear of aesthetics being the first sign of powerlessness. What we realize is that we have traditional gender roles that have shaped our societies for so long that if you're a woman and you want to do certain things, it's like, what will these people say of me? Hey, all the girls are doing pretty things and going. So me, if I decide to wear a helmet and decide to do construction or something, I'll be looked at a different way. And I think, like the other lady rightly said, there's insufficient motivation. That part of our souls, in a way, has been almost asphyxiated by society. And so, yes, I think we need to do more work on that. But also about what my other colleague here also said, you know, I am a huge fan of the tabula rasa philosophy, right? John Locke, David Hume. So we come into the world not really pre-programmed. And then our society changes us, the way we are nurtured, etc. And that's from our early stages we are developing. So we have very, how best to say, malleable ways of picking things up, which lead us later on in life. And so if we do not start right from the get-go and understand that we need to train our child this way, for example, what she said in Dear Ajiwale, if you do not train your child that way, then you literally stunt your child's aspirational growth, as it were. And I think that is a part of the problem. Last but not least, this is the problem I think some people have with feminism. Yes. I like that conversation a lot with people I'm close to. He would attest to that. I think my speaker will also attest to that. Yes. So this is a problem. Now we have different types of feminism. We have intersectional feminism. We've had the first wave, second wave, third wave. Now we're in fourth wave. We saw suffragettes. We saw all of that. Yes. But you know, now people do. Even Chimamanda, who you quoted, has been accused of being a TEF. Yes. Trans, exclusionary, radical feminism, all of that. The problem is now we have people so radicalized that you know, the ideology has become misandry. And that is a problem because, like you rightly said, you need allies on our part, as men, etc. But if you decide to push the misandry card, then you are in a way alienating the very allies that you need progressively to do what you seek to achieve. So I think that's where the problem is with some people. But thank you so much. I know I've talked a lot. I'm sorry.
You are my assistant speaker. I mean, with all of that, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add to anything. You want to talk? Okay. My minutes are done, right? Just 2 more, and we are done.
To add to what Priscilla just said about knowing yourself and all that, I want to contribute to that aspect. Okay, I was there and I had a call from one of my lecturers that, Elizabeth, please, there is games going on, so we have added you, as in you are parts. I am not an athlete, but when this opportunity came, I was like, yes, I am an athlete. Like, I lied. I just wanted to, I'm trying to figure out and know myself and see what I can do. So we were taken to Legon, and it was a marathon race. And oh my God, it was 10 kilometers to go, and it wasn't easy. Before the game started, one of the lecturers came to me, and one of the participants, my group members, came to me. I didn't train. when they were training, I wasn't there because I didn't know this program is taking place. I was told that, oh, the Obra, Jai, nobody's forcing you. We just need you to participate. And I told myself, how? Me, give up? No. And fortunately, or unfortunately, I completed the whole race. It was like 2 kilometers, so it was a 5 loop. You have to go 5 times, so in all 10 kilometers. And I could do it. I did it, and I was so proud of myself, even though I wasn't the first. So I was so proud of myself, and I was like, wow. And do you know what? My lecturer admired me so much, and now I have a coach training me. I am not an athlete, but I am training to become one. So in this, ladies, you have to take advantage. Like, when opportunity comes your way, don't let it go, even if you have no idea about it. Thank you.
I feel compelled to share a story that somebody shared with us at the All Nations University. It was the Passion Air rep who was with us. She said the first day she worked as a cabin crew, right? Her first day on the job as cabin crew. That's how the lady who was supposed to do the announcements on the flights somehow didn't make it. And so they asked for anybody, one of the cabin, anybody here who can grab the microphone and do the announcements on the flight. And she just, and she did it. Unknown to her, on that flight was a man who was traveling to Kumasi to set up his radio station. And that's how, on her first day of her job, she got another job. Right? So, and I'll mention her name. Amma Salome shared the story at the All Nations University in Sunyane last year when we went for Obaasima. And she says today she's back at Passion Air, but this time working in corporate because of the exposure and the experience that other job gave her, just to buttress this point of taking advantage of opportunities when they present. If there's something I know about our male counterparts, even when they are not ready, they are ready. There's a certain bravado, there's a certain can-do spirit that us ladies just don't have. Listen, there's a big difference. I come across as reserved sometimes. I dare say, or in my mind, I'm just delicate, right? But don't confuse that with anything else at all. And I need for us to own that. Are you listening? There's a place for, let me be local, lady. There's a place for that. Because as a woman, you can't just be, gallivanting and everywhere and just loose like that. No, right? But don't confuse that with being in your power. Are you listening? So like she's saying, when an opportunity presents itself, do justice to that opportunity. Perhaps somebody thought that, oh, she's slim, she's slender, we can't have an all-male team, let's add her. Right? And then they told her, oh, sweetheart. How I hate that sweetheart thing. Oh, my dear. If you go and you are tired, don't worry. It's okay. Leave it. Right? But look at what she did with that. And that's how I want us to be. Right? That's how I want us to be in everything in life. Every day. With our studies. Everything else. Let's be that. When I was in Infants Mind Girls Secondary School, and at Disco Boys now, Gasco Boys used to come to the summer hats. I said, nobody will use me to release tension. You will study, and then Saturday, you wear and come and dance around Infants Mind Girls and use me to chat for 6 hours. No. I didn't play like that. No. Can we be more serious? Listen, even at this age, there are things I'm still figuring out about myself. And to answer your question, I don't think that there's anybody who has all the answers, who has figured themselves out and knows themselves completely. Life is about making mistakes. When I spoke in Winneba, I told them, I said, listen, for me, if there's nothing that I'm working towards, if I have everything, then what's the point waking up? It's in fighting everyday challenges. That's life. It's in knowing that as I'm sitting here right now, I have my first degree. I have to work towards my master's degree. That's life. Now, when you have the master's degree, it's in deciding that I'm going to work towards another master's degree, or this time I'm going for a doctorate. That's life. Right? It's in having your first child and thinking, that's life. It's in knowing that I don't have a car. Oh my goodness. I need to get a car. And getting a small, what's the smallest car? Give me something. Come on, guys. Picanto. And feeling yourself for about 6 months, 1 year, and deciding that, I need, give me something. Hey, V8, brother. Easy. Right? That is life. Are you listening to me? That is life. Now, if you are born and everything is ready for you, no difficulty, no life, nothing, and what is there to live for? Is there any excitement? I mean, what is that? So please, the challenges, embrace it with your chest. That is life. And our challenges are different. Winneba, somebody got up and said, well, not like that, but you know what I mean, right? You were born into a privileged home, right? And you've had life easy, but the rest of us. And I said, my sister, you don't know. Right? Because perhaps if she had my life, it won't look the way it's looking. Are you listening? So please, as for the figuring ourselves out, it's every day. It's life, right? But can we commit to doing the work that is necessary? I dare say that the men are braver and they can lift up their hands easier because sometimes they've done it over and over and over again. Like in your classroom, the teacher asks a question. The man will lift up his hand, the boy will lift up his hand and give some foolish answer, right? And we will laugh at him. Guess what? He has overcome the fear of lifting up his hand. He has overcome the fear of saying something foolish and getting laughed at. You that has never lifted up your hand, you have like 3 hurdles to conquer before you get to where he is. Do you understand what I'm saying? So can we just do? Because it is in the doing that the confidence will come. The confidence will not just come. It's in the doing over and over. Listen, walking up on stage, you don't know. People have fallen down countless times just walking up on stage. Oh. Do you understand? I'm sorry, Tracy and Honorable. Now I wonder how you're going to walk up the stage. Right? But that's the truth. So you do that. Lift up your hand. Do that. Speak. Do that. Eventually, you will say something sensible. But you've built your courage and you've built your confidence. And it's in the doing, the taking small steps every day, small. The future will be different.
Thank you so much. My name is Patience Babanji. Yes, because it's my land. Yes. And never fear the lashine. You can not to a sheji. To mianon vioba baglaba pachi. Le more plug baton kuma, a toshi uma organizer obanyaji, and na eletimanam, Bama Bluffy. A labamia never uma organizer. Uma woda party but uma organizer and you. Wo banova miaba a coma, walk by the diffume, I walk by the non Kakafim of Akobamia non hola. Arumia non vioka jimia le fiala, ofa zubola, de to come. A coba de vis swing a poha, a jividashi, for we for fee, atividashi premier tonvi atividashi nukroma nyaka yelina devima ba wavana efia gbaregbe efia hazubola amade le ghetto na yegbo otofu devia zu ghetto vi tala anyala from ghetto to ghetto, from ghetto to ghetto, from station to station. Tala annuala at the time de mia amachichiaroji. Yenya ka makoto kwe. Hey, come here for coming president le fear. Yeta manya grongo. Never coming president. Nema koma yonani. Ta no yi the parliamentar. Not don't kuma, not blame a woman organizer so. No either uba a comedy. No gang no nyanon viobo. Mo gang no de visiobo. Ever well about the viewers of Bola. Nanya Yabafi come a la vifala, and was dollar ladder junior. Manu hang by Siagbe. Manu ham, Alaba from ghetto to ghetto Vimoa. Look at Yago Bonanami. Café Chica Flash was Yandra. Obaasima programmer. Nyanya manona maesia yi. Madonna to. Menya gbomanya cho. Tata nya no vida kagbe namba yima la kona maglobo o eba baga. Mala tuchi. Nti kan makama vafia. Ta adwa omola.
Thank you.
Mauna ire wa ida tochi. Mi pada miawu.
Ladies and gentlemen, so all that Mommy is trying to say, I heard organizer, I heard ghetto, and I heard president. Meaning that an organizer will come from ghetto and become president.
No. That's not it. I tell you what Mommy said. Well, Mommy has expressed a lot of concerns. She talked about the community, the society, some of the problems they are facing when it comes to the young ones or the youngsters, especially the girl child. Teenage pregnancy. She also talked about unemployment and, of course, the engagements between the boys and the girls. And some of these boys do not even have good jobs. And so they give birth, and then these kids, don't have any future because they all don't have work and they're unable to take care of the kids. But she also said that she's been watching Pan-African television, Obaasima, and so she is here today because she was told that you were going to be here. And of course, she's also telling honorable member for the North constituency to always remember them when he's in parliament, as in champion their cause. So Kweku, please, you are warned. Let's go. Mommy, akpa now.
Thank you, Harriet. That's a very multilingual Harriet Nate. She speaks, I don't know how many languages. Yeah, that's a Harriet. Okay, so I think that for my session, we did this together, right? All of us did that. And I hope that we have had a discussion that has been meaningful to you one way or the other. Please, the future can be different, but it depends on us and what we do today, yeah? So really, let's make a different future. Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. Hold on, please. I can't sit down without inviting the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa and Madam Tracy to go up on stage.
Let's show some appreciation to Ama Pratt as well. Parliament for the Northern constituency, and of course Tracy Brave. Let me get this right. So, Kweku, can you help me with
Brave
that?
Connect GH and Brave Pad.
All right.
This one.
Let's show some love to Tracy as well. Thank you very much, Tracy. And of course, thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us on today's episode of Obaasima. Of course, we are here. Tracy? Okay, sure. So I understand we will start the conversation with Tracy. But quickly, though, Kweku, a lot has been said by our boss, Pratt, who is the Executive Director for the Obaasima Foundation, and of course the General Manager for Pan-African Television. So she's my boss. And of course, I was so happy. What's the name of the other young lady, the one who shared her story? What's her name? Yeah, the athlete, now athlete. Madam, what's her name? Elizabeth, and of course, Prisla. Did I get it right? What's the name? Prisla, right? It takes a lot to gather the confidence to share such stories. And my boss touched on all the things that one needs to go through to be able to share her story. I actually made a few observations. I saw some people, nicely seated on their phones, about 3 phones, and they were just touching their phones. And others were in agreement by nodding their heads, because they appreciate the fact that it took a lot for them to stand up and share about it, right? And that's why we have the panel here. So thank you so much, Amma, once again. And thank you also.
In the meantime, I also made one observation. I saw someone sleeping on Facebook. Around this side. Yeah. No, around this side.
But remember, we are on streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, right? On African Television. If you have your phones with you, please go to Facebook or YouTube and subscribe, and of course follow and get to know what is happening on Pan-African Television. This is where the real conversations are had, and of course we are ready with our panelists. Tracy, I understand you are the first to speak. So are you ready for us, Tracy? We're excited to have you here. Yes, please, that's yours.
Hello? That's fine. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Tracy Owusu-Addo.
It's Obaasima Summit season again, and we continue with our campus tours. Our next stop is the Volta region of Ghana. Date, Friday, 7th April 2023. Venue, University of Health and Allied Sciences at the Kofi Anyindoho Auditorium. And the time is 9.
Who's up for the challenge? I'm throwing a challenge at you. Okay, one more person. There's a lot. You can use this microphone.
What's it?
Okay, Emanuela also answer. Oh, one other lady. It's a competition.
Please, my name is Emanuela also answer, and I'm from Ho NTC.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Hold on, let's find a contender.
Yes. Hey, we were talking about opportunity. This is your opportunity.
Who's coming?
There's a TV station here. You never know who is watching. You're going to be discovered. One more.
Who wishes to battle Emanuela? Who? That's right. Let's see how it goes.
You see the sunglasses?
It's Obaasima Summit season again, and we continue with our campus tours. Our next stop is the Volta region of Ghana. Date, Friday, 7th April 2023. Venue, University of Health and Allied Sciences at the Kofi Anyindoho Auditorium. And the time is 9 o'clock a.m. prompt. Speakers, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Town Constituency. Natalie Fort, Media Personality and News Anchor. Tracy Sassers, CEO of Brave Connect GH. And Amma Pratt, Executive Director of Obaasima Foundation and the General Manager of Pan-African Television. Theme, the future can be different. Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there. Obaasima Summit season again, and we continue with our campus stores. Our next stop is the Volta region of Ghana. Date Friday, 7th April 2023. Venue University of Health and Allied Sciences at the Kofi Anyindoho Auditorium, and the time is 9 o'clock a.m. prompt. Speakers: Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Town Constituency; Natalie Fort, Media Personality and News Anchor; Tracy Sassers, CEO of Brave Connect.
Thank you so much.
We have no idea, Manuela. Osa Papa.
Serious.
Even Amma Pratt could have never. Okay. We're ready to drop some bars.
Introduce herself.
Okay.
Please, my name is Agri Christiana from NTC.
Nice to meet you, Christiana. Okay, so what are you going to give us today? Okay. So you are in character. Yes. That's right.
All right. I'm a diploma.
You know someone you know be proud.
That's right.
How about Koyade?
Thank you.
How about Koyade?
Thank you.
She said you are too. Most started.
Okay, you want to do freestyle or you want some instrumental? Yes. Instrumental. Yes. DJ Mighty.
No, can't let you go.
Yeah, that's right. DJ Mighty, you ready? We need to be in character. Wear your shoes. voice will rap, she never feel rap.
I should renew my vows again from that song, so yeah.
As you are to get room, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful to be here. It's amazing to see your beautiful faces. This is my first time on whole campus. Yes. But I have had some level of communication, I think, with your WUCOM and SRC regarding the menstrual hygiene initiative that they're planning to roll out here. So you are in our minds, definitely. But thank you again, Amma, for inviting me here today. I really appreciate it. I believe in the power of numbers, as you mentioned earlier, us collaborating, working together, and actually become change makers, right? And that's what I really want to talk to you about today. How do we become change makers? How do we as women, or even as individuals, how do we actually take the steps, the actions to actually make sure that we are making an impact in our society? I'd like to speak directly to the young lady in yellow who mentioned earlier the fact that when we do some of these talks, sometimes it becomes very theoretical, but they are not, actionable steps that we teach in order for yourselves to be able to take those bold steps and the right actions to get to where you want to be. So before I start, I just want to say, I want to ask a question. How many of you here have volunteered in your community? Show a raise of hands. 1, 2, 3. That's 4, 6, 7, 8. So let's say about 12, 15 volunteering in your community. This is not someone telling you to go to Accra or anything, but in your community. We have only 15 people. How many of you have attended any sort of mentorship or conference around leadership? How many of you? Okay, a bit more than volunteering, but that's still not enough. What's that telling us? We are dormant, we are complacent. If you want to make a change in your society, no one has to tell you you have to take that step first. You have to realize that you have to make the first step. I can come here and pour into you, but nothing starts without you beginning to do something. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and how my journey started. So I was born here in Ghana. At the age of 13, I moved to Germany. I'm sure a lot of you will say that you've got your parents outside and everything. But before I went to Germany, my mom left Ghana when I was 3 years old. My dad left when I was 5. I didn't grow up with my parents. I grew up with my auntie, so I moved from one household to the other. And I'm sure you can imagine how that would be like. I hardly knew my parents. My mom will come maybe once every couple of years. My dad probably never, not to say that that was a bad thing. But later on when I grew up, I understood that it was a sacrifice that they had to make for me and for themselves, right? Okay. So at the age of 18, my mom came to take me. She took me to Germany. I didn't actually know which country I was going to. I knew I was going to Germany, but I didn't even know that they speak a totally different language. Anyone here speak German? Keiner? Niemand spricht Deutsch? Nein? No? So you can imagine. That's the same way I felt. I went into a foreign country. It was actually spring when I went. I think I went in April, thereabouts. It was getting warm, the sun was shining, but it was very cold. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, what is this? It was a total culture shock. No friends, nobody. In Germany, it was just my mom. We didn't have any family there. It was just me and my mom. And at that time, she had a partner who was German. So I had a German stepdad. But you think, wow, you got a white stepdad,
things are going to be all rosy. Like, I mean, who can boast and say that their stepdad is white? I mean, people kind of aspire to that, right? So that turned out to be a whole different situation. He didn't actually believe that I could make it when it came to education. So he had intended to put me like in a training, I don't know how to call it here, but in Germany they have a school system. So gymnasium is like general SHS that we have here, and then we have Realschule and we have Oberschule. So Oberschule was like the lower level. That's for students who were not really academically good, but they still had to go to school. So that's the school he wanted to put me in. But God being so good, at that time in Berlin, where we lived, they had started an international school. It's both English and German. And my mom was like, no, let's try this school. Let's take her there. And I went there, did the interview, the exams, and God being so good, I passed. They didn't fail me. They put me in the same class that I was. At that point, that was in GSS 1. So that went well, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I mean, I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew at some level I was smart. So having initially thought I would be repeated, that was something that didn't sit well with me. So when I was able to go into the same level of class that I was in here in Ghana, that was great. Then another challenge arose. In my class, because it was an international school, there was quite a number of different people from different countries. But the majority of the students in my class were Germans. So the majority of the students being Germans, that means they speak more German than English, because the majority in the class who spoke English were very small. And I was like, oh my God. There was one Ghanaian, I remember, one Kenyan, and then one Indian. The Ghanaian and the Kenyan didn't befriend me. It was the Indian who befriended me. And till this day, I still remember her because she made my first year in school in Germany a bit more tolerable. If you know, kids can be bullies, right? Especially if you don't speak the language, you're from Africa. Me, I didn't know the dressing. You know, I was skinny, scrawny, kind of wearing glasses and all of those things. So it didn't really go well, but she held me out. God being so good, within 6 months, I could understand the language, but I couldn't speak yet. So that was still a challenge. But then I realized if I don't learn to speak the language very fast, I wouldn't be able to keep up. So I had to take extra classes. Like after school, I'll sit behind. I'll speak to my German teacher. He'll give me exercise. I'll be learning. I have to be reading books, newspapers, all in German. I had to learn. Within a year, I could speak the language. Yeah, and till this day, I mean, I still speak German. I'm trying to teach my kids, but hey. I went through the school system. I did I think at that time, that's equivalent to WASIC here, WASIC, yeah. I did it, and then I was able to go to university. When I chose a university in Germany at the time, but it was also like about an hour and a half away from Berlin, and that city was called Frankfurt Oder. And if you know German history, it's very much after World War II, right? There was East and West Germany. The West was the richer part, and the East was the sort of the poor communist part. So when Germany came back together in reunification around 1990, they came back together, but still development was a bit lacking in that area. So you can still see in terms of the people who live there, their mannerisms and everything, it's still quite different when you go to East Germany compared to West Germany. And they're a bit more racist as well. So I remember I would have to take the train every morning to lectures, an hour and a half. You go to this area, you get out of the tram or the train, and you have people on the street just staring at you because you're black. Someone can shout something mean to you, but obviously you don't want to have trouble, so you just act as if you didn't hear, and then you walk on. You have to be in survival mode. So after a year, I realized no, I was studying business administration at that time. And I realized, no, this is not for me. This is not what I wanted out of life, out of education. I wanted to be able to have that proper university experience. And mind you then, by that time, I had left home. I moved out of home when I was 17. That's also for personal reasons, but that's a whole different story. I started working at the age of 16 because I had to support myself, and I knew that at that time I wouldn't be able to survive home. So I started working at the age of, so at that time I was still working in university, and I was living alone as well. And then when I realized this wasn't for me, I was like, no, I need to quit. I remember one of my friends was in the UK at that time. She was studying at the University of Kent. And I was like, wow, it would be so great to go to the UK to study. That would be a place that I want to be, not in this environment. So then I decided to quit business administration at that time at the university in Frankfurt Oder. And then I started applying for universities in the UK. I applied. I got University of Nottingham. That's where I eventually ended up. But before that time, I had a whole year, like a gap year, that I had stopped working, that I needed to do something. And at that time, I was working for a company, a fashion store in Berlin. And I don't know what happened, but obviously, when I'm doing something, one thing that I learned was I can only rely on myself because I was very independent. I had to take care of myself. So everything I do, I put my best foot forward. I give my all. I make sure that I learn. If I don't know, I'll go home, do the extra work, learn, and make sure I do it right. And that reflected in the way I worked in the shop. So then my manager at that time then approached me and said, Tracy, the company is expanding to America, but the senior colleagues here in the company, it was a big store. They had different franchises and shops around Germany. None of them speak English. We know you speak English, and we have watched you work. You do a great job. We want to give you this opportunity to go to America, paid. You work, your accommodation, everything. I was like, really? Like, this is happening to me right now? I was so, so happy. I'm getting emotional right now because I'm just remembering the situation that I was in at that time and how things weren't going. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I went to LA. I was there for about 6 months. I stayed in one of the prime locations in a furnished apartment where, you know, the Kardashians and things where they hang out at. Yes. That became an experience that really confirmed for me the notion of hard work, the notion of putting your best foot forward, the notion of being ready for opportunities, grabbing every opportunity that comes your way. I finished, my university school was starting in September, and my boss then came back to me and she's like, Tracy, we think that we want you to stay. We want you to stay on, work with us. We know you want to go to university. You can apply for university here. We'll help you to apply for university here. We can talk about how you can pay for your tuition and everything, because for UK, I had already had approval for a student loan. So I was happy. I knew that one was catered for. But in America, compared to UK at that time, American universities are very expensive. Nothing less than $30,000 a term or a year or so. And that doesn't even include accommodation. So she was like, we can talk about how we can support you in everything so you can continue your education here and still work with us. And I told her to give me time to think about it. I'm sure at that point, anyone would have taken the opportunity, right? But do you know why I said no? Do you know why I said no? Because I sat down and took a hard, realistic look at my situation there. And as much as I am working and I'm being paid, this is a job that is more than 8 hours. I cannot go to school and still work. At some point, I would have to make a choice between the two. So I was at a crossroad. Do I continue or do I go back and continue my education? And I was like, no, I think it would be best if I go back. But I make myself available anytime when I'm on my summer break. I would come back and do the 3 months, because usually summer break was like 3 months. I would come back and love to work with you guys. And she was like, that's fine. You've done a great job. Thank you and everything. So I packed my bags, went to the UK. 1 year down the line, I was on break. I reached out to the lady there and she said, oh, Tracy, you know what? Our boss in a helicopter crash. So we had to halt our expansion in America. We are closing down our stores. So you can imagine, if I had stayed on, what would have happened? That means I would be stranded in America. How am I going to pay my tuition? No job. Maybe I could find another job, but I would probably not get the same conditions that I had with these people. What I'm just trying to show you is that in life, opportunities are there, but you also get to a crossroad where you have to choose what is right for you. Sometimes that decision that you might make in that moment might not seem the right choice, right? But one thing I've learned, you can never skip the process. And that's one thing my husband always says. You can never skip the process. You cannot be a student today and then wake up tomorrow and think you are ready to be a manager. Why? You don't have the experience. And with that, before you can get that experience, you have to go through the process. You have to work. You have to put in the time. I was speaking to a friend, I think 2 days ago, and he was telling me how there's this saying that when you put 10,000 hours into something, you become an expert. Because you have gone through the process. You have committed your time. You cannot think, oh, I'm in university. I have done the bare minimum. Or done, I don't know, become an SRC president. I have done something here and put that on your CV. And then you go find a job and then you get the job and it will not show that you have not actually put in the work. You have to take action. Unfortunately, a lot of us, something that I've realized with our university students is that a lot of you wait till national service to actually get work experience. Please, you are doing yourself a disservice waiting till national service. Do you know why? Because by that time that you have thought within that 3 years or so, or 4 years that you have finished a degree before you're going to do national service, someone has already had 4 to 5 internships under their belt. That makes them more competitive than you. Why would I, as a CEO, choose someone who has only national service experience and not choose someone who has had at least 4 or 5 internships under their belt? It's the process that we are looking for. It's the show of commitment. You cannot think that things will come easy to you. No. I hope my story that I told you shows you that nothing comes easy. And I'm not saying it should be painful. No, it shouldn't be painful. But you should realize that you working maybe as a waitress, you working maybe as a studies teacher for somebody, or you helping as an administrative assistant in an office, it's actually you putting in that work to gain that experience, that when you get to that point where you come to the opportunity where someone says, I want to hire you as my project manager, it makes sense. I can tell you, I work with John. John here. Some of you may know him. John, can you please stand up for them to see him? John is a recent graduate, right? Do you know why I like John, or why I chose to work with John? John has an entrepreneurial mind. When I work with someone, I don't look at it and say, because you are with me, you are not allowed to do anything. No, because I realize he has to build himself as well. John has a program called Rethink Investment. He studied accounting, right? He has a program called Rethink Investment, where at this point, John is able to pull banks like the Republic, Access Bank, EcoBank, all these CEOs. John has access to all of them. Where I even think John can give me an opportunity to go and meet the CEO of EcoBank. But he's here. He came with me all the way to Volta region. So why do you think if John goes somewhere within the next 2 years, after organizing all these programs on campus, and stands there with his CV, and shows within, I don't know, 2 years or 3 years span, he's worked with all these people, why wouldn't someone choose him? And that's the problem with us young ladies, that we said, sometimes we lack determination. Sometimes we do something and then we say we are tired. Everyone has that. We all don't have that 100% where we are going. No. You get to a point where you're like, I'm tired, I can't do this. Cry in your room, recuperate, do whatever you need to, but get back up. Because no one is going to do the work for you. No one. Like this young lady. Even though she was tired when she went to the sports thing, she still went through it, did the whole 5 kilometers, and then ended up with the opportunity to actually train with a professional trainer. That's maybe a new passion she has discovered for herself. If you don't try things out, you're never going to discover what is right for you. You cannot have a linear idea of what you want to do in life. You might say, okay, I'm interested in, initially, I wanted to be a journalist or maybe work with the UN. Eventually, the UN part of things actually crystallized for me. But because of, at that time when I started my career, I got into media and everything. The UN seemed kind of far, but I knew that was something that I wanted to do still. So starting up this foundation with Brave, I have been able to collaborate with all those. I've manifested that for myself. Within the past year, I've worked with Global Citizen. I've worked with UN Road Safety Fund. I just had a workshop with UNFPA. I've worked with GIZ. All these international organizations. It's because of what? How I've positioned myself, especially through my social media. And I can tell you for a fact, all of these organizations that I just mentioned, most of those connections came from Twitter. A lot of you go to Twitter and want to do agenda. And I'm like, who does agenda on Twitter? Move to people and say something just to get a reaction from them. But you can actually use Twitter to build your online CV, not just LinkedIn. A lot of these organizations, those big organizations, if you really watch how they tweet or the things that they tweet, they don't normally have a lot of engagement, right? But when I studied that and I was like, okay, these are the organizations that I want to work with. How do I do this? How do I approach them? Some of them obviously also came through recommendations as well. But for the most part, for instance, my recent conversation with Comfort, it came from Comfort in the UK that told the Ghana office here to have a meeting with me. It is how you brand yourself, how you position yourself, and what work you put in. So I beg of you, never take social media lightly, and never sit there waiting for manna to pour down into your lap. Life doesn't work that way. And as much as we are pouring into you here, it is up to you to take that step. If you want to be a nurse or a doctor, find someone who has attained what you wish to attain. Look at how they structured their life, their CV. So a good place to go is go to LinkedIn. Look at the previous positions they've had, where they worked. you can use that as a model as to how you can take action steps for yourself. At that point, maybe you might see, okay, they did their service because they wanted to be a cardiologist or whatever. They went to do some extra training somewhere. Do that. They didn't just sit there for that position at Kolebu to just come. No. Lack of determination is not going to help you. And that's how we become change makers, taking actionable steps. One example of one thing you can do. Draw up a vision board. How many of you have a vision board? Raise up your hand properly. Do any of you know what a vision board is? Anyone tell me? Anyone can stand up, one person. What's a vision board?
Okay, thank you. For me, before I came to the nursing school, I have a 5-year plan. I have plan A, plan B, and plan C. So the first thing is when I'm done, Daddy wants to help me go outside. That one is at the other side. But the other side too, I plan on working on internal voluntary work after my school here with some hospitals I want to work to. And now I'm working towards it. So in a way, that's what I have and the vision I have for myself.
Give her a clap. That's good, but when I talk about a vision board, it's actually something physical that you create for yourself. So it can be on a whiteboard, or it can be on your mirror, something that you see daily, your bathroom mirror, something. It can be post-its, it can be pictures of things you want to achieve for yourself. Everyone knows when you see something constantly, at some point it subconsciously settles into you, right? And that's what I want you to do. From today, please, when you go to your dormitories, if it's printing a picture, if it's even a vacation location that you have, print it and put it in your mirror. It will remind you every year why you wanted to go there, and you work towards it. Because sometimes life happens, right? Life happens where you're like, too many exams, too many work that I have to go through. But hey, if I see what I'm working towards, why I'm doing all of this work, it all then makes sense. And it gives you that energy, gives you that push to actually do what you want to do. Second thing, time management. How many of you actually have a daily schedule of what you want to do in a day, or what you want to achieve in a day? How many of you? Up, 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 up. My people. Time management. How many of you wake up by 5 a.m.? Are you sure? Okay, that's a good number, but it could be more. It's about 1/3 of the room. There's this book by a man called Robin Sharma. It's called The 5 a.m. Club. He talks about how CEOs, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, how they are productive with their day. They wake up at 5 a.m., and where you have the 20-20 rule. 20, that's 60 minutes. 20 minutes to exercise, 20 minutes to meditate, think about what you want to do for the day, and 20 minutes to actually read, gain new knowledge. That alone, I wake up at 5 a.m., not just because I want to, but also because of my kids. My daughter has to be ready for school by 7 a.m., so I wake up at 5 a.m., make breakfast. By that time, by 6, I wake them up, I get them ready, eat, they go to school. Then I go to the gym for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then by 9:30, I'm in the office. I get home around 4, latest 5. I know I've done all my work, and then it's family time. And that's obviously one of the challenges that we as women face, because as Madam Amma said, we have to take care of home and we have to take care of work. But I don't complain. I don't complain. Why don't I complain? Because I know what I want to achieve for myself. I want to have ownership. I want to be able to stand in front of you and be proud and say, I am the CEO of Brave. I'm able to help so and so thousand women to gain access to internship opportunities or sanitary pads. I want that when I'm here next time, when I'm being introduced, they will not say the wife of Sarkodie, but they will actually say Tracy Owusu-Addo, CEO of Brave Foundation. You get it? And that is what I, as a woman, I bring to the table. And that's what I want you also to create for yourself. Take ownership of something. It doesn't have to be a business. Not everyone is an entrepreneur, and I understand that. Some of us are there to help entrepreneurs succeed, and that is fine. But be able to stand in your own and know what you are bringing to the table. And that means that you are learning, you are doing all the things that you're supposed to do, be it you are taking your classes, you are networking, you are meeting new people, all sorts of things. Everyone's journey is different, and the journey is never straight. I know it's a cliche, but that journey is never straight. If I didn't tell you my story, which is half of my story, you think I have it all. I don't. But I am content with what I have. And what I don't have and I want, I work for it. Another thing, that's the last thing I want to talk to you about. Finances, financial literacy. A lot of us young women, we always want to wait, and we are always leaning on our guys to help, to support us. But then we come back and we talk about gender equality. How do we reconcile that? It doesn't work that way. If you want to take on the responsibility of gender equality, there is a role you have to play for that gender equality. We say women can do what men can do. So why is it that your boyfriend or your whatever it is has to buy you credit? Like, no, I want you to understand. Do you know how, not to rain on anyone's parade, but do you know how degrading it is to ask for those petty things that you as an individual should be able to afford for yourself? It is nice if he does it. Oh, my husband buys me clothes, he buys me shoes. But I don't go and say, chinchina, like you have to buy it for me. No. If I work towards it and I can afford it, I'll buy it. When I buy it and he sees it, it's like, hey, well, no. You know? And that's the beauty of a partnership. That you know you have someone you can lean on, but not someone that you are dependent on. Build yourself. I'm begging you. And a lot of us, I think we spoke about marriage earlier on. A lot of us see marriage, especially young people that I've met, see marriage as an escape. I worked with one young lady previously who came, she was also my project manager. That was, I think, the first project manager that I had. And she was having issues at home, and she had a boyfriend at that time. And she wanted to get married. And I asked her why. And she's like, so that she can run away from the problems at home. Like, you are taking those same, you're not solving the problem, you are taking those same problems with you into that marriage. Marriage is not going to solve that problem. Don't think that getting married, having children, everything is going to be rosy. No. Have you thought about your finances? Where you are going to stay? A lot of us are renting. My husband and I, we decided early on in our relationship, we said, if it would take us 10 years to live with our parents until we are able to finish our house and go and live in that house, we'll do that. Because we realize that this renting thing is not easy. You think 2 years. By the 2 years, it comes like this. No. And then you have kids. When are you going to save up enough within that 2 years to actually then go and pay the next rent whilst you are paying your children's school fees? Those are the realities of marriage. Even your everyday, your transportation. So please, try as much as possible to be independent. It can be petty trading. Even amongst yourselves here on campus, you are your own customers. You should be able to save at least, every year, you should be able to save at least 1,000 Ghana cedis. Hey! Hey! Every day. So let's say every week, if you put away 10 Ghana cedis every week, and there are how many weeks in a year? 52 weeks in a year. 10 Ghana cedis. How much do we have? 520. Okay, I'll give you some. But 20, you can say 20 a day. 20 a week. 20 Ghana cedis every week. That would be what? 1,000. I'm saying you should save 10 Ghana cedis and 20 Ghana cedis. And you are saying, so where is the car going to come from? It's just going to fall from heaven. Or you're going to pray. You pray that God should bring the car. No, we are lost. I beg you. How much is a picanto costing right now? 52 something. Have you calculated how much you have to save? Let's say how many of you are in, let's say, level 100? Okay, level 100. Let's say you want to get a car. After how many years? When are you going to graduate? 3 years, 4 years? Okay. Break it down, the 50,000 plus. That one, it doesn't even include inflation. And so by that time, maybe 3 years later, maybe to be 60,000. So think about it. How much do you have to, if you break it down for the 3 or 4 years, how much do you have to save by then to be able to afford a car? You have not even thought about it. Please. One thing I'll give with, last thing. As we are talking about lifelong learning, one book I'll recommend to you, This Man in Babylon. That book taught me how to save. It said, every income, everything, if it's even 100 Ghana cedis, if you put away 10% of that income, away, because the money that you are getting, let's say someone has given you 1,000 cedis that you are spending, you are actually paying people. When you buy something, you are paying them, either for their service or for the goods that you are receiving. So why are you not paying yourself? Are you paying yourself? The savings that you are doing, you're not giving it to any, it's for yourself, or you are paying yourself. That's money for you. So if you cannot even put away 10% of everything that comes into your hand, what are you doing? You are cheating yourself because you are not paying yourself. That book was really an eye-opener for me. It's just a small book. I think less than 100 pages or so. A lot of the hawkers that are on the street, they sell that book. Read it. Put away 10%. Like the way you tithe at church. Tithe for yourself, okay? Tithe for yourself, oh. Okay, thank you.
What's you?
Thank you so much. Please, let's show some appreciation. Right. So there is the question and answer session, and of course, we are not going to miss out on that. I mean, Tracy has said a lot. I have my own questions that I'll be asking. I'm sure I'm allowed to ask some questions as well. Kweku, am I?
On Instagram, you can DM her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's
thank
fine.
you.
Anyways, I'm not offended at all. Anyway, we are here for you today. So, Tracy, help me with the full name.
Yeah, we'll take Tracy Owusu Ado.
Owusu Ado,
Yeah.
just finished with her presentation. Tracy, no, I don't like Tracy Success. I like Tracy Owusu Ado.
Okay.
Like she said, she wants to be able to walk in her own shadow and not in her husband's shadow. And
So,
I think it's really nice.
Henceforth,
Questions?
I will introduce Honorable as the husband of the wife.
I like that. That's such a great idea. That's the equality we want to see. I like that.
A few questions for Tracy. We'll take just about 3 of them, and then we'll move on to the next item on the list. Any questions? I'll take the microphone around. Any?
We should be seeing more hands up. We should. Okay, I see hands
All right.
popping up.
Let me take it from this then I'll walk all the way back.
Thank you. Please, my question is, if someone wants to be a volunteer in his or her village, is there any support or something like that? Like, yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Harriet, kindly get Tracy a microphone. Kindly
Right.
pass it on. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take an answer for this one. I'll do just 3 questions. 3 questions.
Thank you.
One already down.
Yes, I know. Thanks. Should I answer the lady? Okay. So volunteer. You'll be surprised there are quite a number of small NGOs in different communities that do a lot of different types of initiatives. So I don't know exactly about here in Ho, but I've been to Hohoi, for instance, before, where there was the queen mother of one particular community. She is, for instance, doing also the sanitary pad initiative. There's also one lady I know who's in Keta. She's also doing sanitary pad initiative. So it's about what you are interested in and looking at Googling. Now everything is on the internet. A lot of us people in the social impact space, we do quite a number of PR or press releases so that at least it's out there. When someone Googles our name, something comes up. So if it's volunteering with a health organization that you are looking at doing, I'm sure if you Google health initiatives or health foundations within Ho, something will definitely come up. But even with their SRCs, I know that they also do quite a number of initiatives with the communities around here. So maybe that could be a starting point, and using that to build your network as you go along. And to be honest, one thing I've realized in the NGO space or community or volunteering space, it's really not about competition, because the kind of initiatives that a lot of these organizations focus on, they are heavy topics that they're not in the everyday spotlight, right? So you have to actually go out there to search for them. So I would say Google, talk to, I'm sure anyone in the community, I don't know, maybe your dean or something like that, they can give you some advice as to where to start from.
Mine is not a question. I wanted to add something to your speech. I can see here most of people here are youth. And youth, if you want to build up your relationship, you have the first thing is understanding. And the second, you have to learn from each other. For example, some men are trained, like they know how to cook, how to what, do everything. And unfortunately, if they married, the woman doesn't know how to cook. And these things sometimes brings divorcing or make the relationship shorter. So I'm pleading to them, both the youth, women and the men, that maybe if they get their partner in future, they should understand each other and learn from them. If the woman doesn't know how to cook, you the men, if you know it, you can help your wife and teach her and know how to cook. Because if you come to my house, there's no man, there's no child, there's no woman. I can kill a goat and do everything myself. And my husband too can cook, prepare fufu, sell to the customers. So if you come, people come to learn from us because they don't understand it. We don't marry because of money or because of our qualification. No, understanding. So, Auntie, very well done. God bless you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello, please. I'm Vincent Kenata from UHAS, University of Health and Life Sciences. Yeah, please, I just have one question. Yeah, when this very summit was presented to us, I'm part of the publicity committee. We were just a little bit confused that, like, how would men also, like, the roles men will play in promoting this very summit. Yeah, so when we went to the publicity, to the various hostels, they were asking of us, like, what are the roles that men will play in order to enhance this women empowerment? I was really a little bit confused because we saw the Obaasima, so we were like, this will be for males, yeah, or, sorry, this will be for females, yeah. So I just went to check a little bit online, but since you guys are also around, I would ask for the roles men will play in women empowerment. Thank you.
I think definitely men are very important to the agenda of women empowerment. And I think Amma mentioned it earlier with partnership, helping each other. So if, for instance, you know, at some point, let's say your wife is working and you are supposed to help, you see that, for instance, she has to come to Volta region because she has to have a program there. You as the man, obviously you can help her in a way that, and you have kids at that point, let's say. You can help her and say, oh, babe, you go. I'll take care of the kids. Do you get it? I mean, that is the level of support you can give. No, seriously. Seriously. And don't see it as a woman trying to emasculate you just because you are taking care of the household. I can tell you, my husband can bath our kids. Sometimes I'll tell him, my bread, he will bath them, pepper, and let them go to bed. He can feed them. He can cook. So if I'm not there, he'll not go hungry. So by you, if you don't know how to cook, and no one is there, that means you go hungry. They said what Chimamanda said, cooking is a life skill. It's not about someone trying. Your wife is not supposed to replace your mother. Okay? But as women too, we shouldn't disrespect our men. I don't see gender equality or feminism as trashing men. No, that is not the notion of that for me. I see gender equality and feminism as we women rising up to the table and not being complacent with ourselves, building ourselves so that we can stand equal. That's how I understand gender equality and feminism. And that involves also men making it happen for us in a way that they partner us and help us.
Thank you. Ebenezer, I want to find out what you think or what you make of hiring a house help as a career woman. What are the implications, the positives and the negatives? So that you can still be a career woman and still be a very good wife or a very good mother.
I don't have, because I also have a house help. But the house help thing for me is honestly, for the past 2 years, it's not been working. My previous one, she got pregnant, so she left. The one that I have now, she's also pregnant. So, yes. So I'm in a pinch for me right now. In the next 2 to 3 months, I need to get someone because my husband travels a lot. Right? In as much as he wants to support me, he's going on tour. So when he leaves, for instance, how will I be able to come here if I don't have a house help? So a house help there, they say it takes a community to raise a child. And if that your community means getting someone to support you, to make things work for you, why not? It should be there. But everyone has to set their own boundaries. There are people who do not want their house helps to cook for their husbands. They don't want their house helps to wash their clothes. It's up to you to define your boundaries with your house help. You and your partner can decide how that works for you. And I think it's up to you to find that yourself. Yeah.
Esther.
Yeah, my question has to do with, when you were speaking, you were talking about how early you started at 16. When did this whole relationship thing started? And how did they affect your output as a woman, as a career woman? Yeah, your output. I mean, dealing with your emotional struggles and coming up as a woman. Yeah.
So in relationships, as my husband and I, we knew each other. We grew up in the same community, in Termine Community 9. We knew each other through from childhood. I knew him before I left Ghana, but we weren't dating or anything. So it was my first trip when I came to Ghana. That's, I don't know. But I think what has really worked for us was, it was a long distance relationship. We were both able to develop independently, and then at the right time, I think, come together. Because I don't know if it would have worked out. I mean, they say what God has ordained, it's no man can put aside. But I really believe that me being able to go through my experiences, which some of that I shared, and him able to also do his work and grow as a person, and then coming together was what really I believe was our saving grace. Because we were young. I don't want to mention my age at that time, but I was young, and he was young as well. So I don't think it would have been a good thing for us to be on top of each other the whole time, because then you in a relationship, you become very, reliant on each other and stuff like that. And sometimes when you spend too much time together at a very young age, instead of you finding out who you are, because the person is there, you wouldn't do that. So for us, that really helped us. And then obviously with my struggles back in Germany, I didn't tell him a lot about it. It was at some point, I think, he realized like he wasn't hearing from me as much, and that was when he asked what the issue was, and then I told him about it, and he supported me where he could, but I wasn't like insistent, or I didn't feel I was entitled to his support. And I think that's one thing that as Ghanaians, as a society, it's very prevalent, and we need to stop. We are not entitled to anybody. You came into this world alone and you leave alone. You are not entitled. It's good if someone can offer their time to you, and that's when you need to appreciate it. But you're not entitled to their money, their time, their whatever. So for me, I think it's really about having found out what I wanted to do, who I am, and that has helped us as a couple. Yeah.
All right, this will be our final question for Tracy.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Hafsat Abubakar from Islamic University. Okay, my question is, as a young lady like me who is trying to aspire for the position of Women's Commissioner in my school, I have this initiative which I'm trying to seek for sponsorship. So my project is about menstrual hygiene in my school. So how can I get sponsorship to embark on this project? Thank you.
Okay, good that you brought that up, because I think I didn't mention that in my speech. So menstrual hygiene is one of the key initiatives that I run under Brave Foundation. It's actually also started with a nurse who introduced me to a community back in Pram Pram in Minya in Greater Accra, and how obviously it causes young girls to not stay in school, teenage pregnancy, sleeping with the boys in the neighborhood to get some petty cash to afford basic items like sanitary pad, exercise books, and all sorts of things. And since then, it spiraled. So in the beginning, we had quite a number of sponsorships. We were working with Menaye, and that's Sule Muntari's wife. She had brought a brand on the market called Sincerely, where she gave us 1,000 pads at that time. We had also gotten sponsorship from the distributors or importers of Always. We also got from Fatex, and it was going well. We supported quite a number of communities last year. But when inflation hit towards the end of last year, that sponsorship dried up. It was really hard to come by, and obviously prices had also skyrocketed, and I was doing much of it from my own money, it was not sustainable for the organization. So I was like, okay, how do we still make this happen so that we are able to still support? So that's when we came up with something called the Brave Sanitary Pad Fund. And the premise of it is very simple mathematics. There are people who can afford and those who cannot afford. So why don't we sell to those who can afford to generate income? That's basically it. So what we are doing this year, and I'm really happy to announce this. I think we spoke in the car about it with Amma. A friend introduced me to a company, a startup company. They produce flashable pads in the UK. And she introduced me to them, and since last year that we were talking, they have agreed to give us 30,000 pads, 30,000 sanitary pads to give out to 1,200 girls. So this year what we are doing is that we have 4 schools that we are going to support, 300 girls per school for a period of 1 year. Unfortunately, that amount of pads cannot be allocated to any other school because that part, it comes with requirements and there's reporting and everything that we have to do with it. And the company is part of the COP27 UNICEF, so we can't just give it out like that. But that's where the pad fund, in terms of selling and then making income, comes into play. So we'll be rolling out soon. I just had a meeting yesterday with NASAC and USAC and TTAG, the associations, where we are going to be recruiting sales representatives on campus. I mean, there are students who can buy pads, right? And as a sales representative, you'll be earning a commission on the sale you make. And we are not limiting it to any particular brand. Any brand that is willing to support us in terms of the pricing that they give to us, we'll be working with them. So with the pads that we know, for instance, the whole university has asked for 2,000 pads, right? So we were like, okay, once we have finalized everything, we will come to you and say 2,000 pads. Maybe we'll be able to give you 1,000 pads, but the 1,000 pads will come from you selling 1,000 pads. Do you get it? It's just simple mathematics, because at this point, we have to find ways to be self-sustainable. Sponsorships are hard to come by. Trust me, even me. I'm sure Amma will be able to tell you. Sponsorships are hard to come by. Nobody is willing to give out 5,000, 10,000 Ghana cedis just for free for name or media publicity. No. So you, as an organization or someone who wants to embark on a project like that, you have to come up with ways as to how you can raise funding. There are so many ways. There are big organizations, even UN, they are even still raising funds. There was this, I've forgotten, you know, Apple, they used to have this red product. That red product was with a partnership with One, I think that's Bono, that's a musician, where any sale, let's say if you buy a red iPhone, that proceeds from the red iPhone goes directly to that organization to help HIV/AIDS patients. So that was the model that I saw, that I modeled it against. So it's up to you. There are so many ways. That's why it's so important to read. Like, if it's a sector that you are interested in, make sure you are reading in that, like the latest trends, what are going on. Not being on TikTok and listening to people miming other people's talks. Like, there's so much out there that you can do. TikTok and all of those things, they are trivial stuff. So if you want to be solutions-oriented, and solutions-oriented meaning finding out what is going on in the world. AI, now there's AI. They said they're talking about ChatGPT. How many of you are using ChatGPT? Or have you even heard about ChatGPT? Artificial intelligence. Like, that's the next phase of the internet. But are you actually aware of what's going on? How you can even utilize that to make money? Please, there's so much. Learn.
There's so much. Learn. Thank you so much. Tracy Learn. Read ahead. Brave Connect GH, Brave Pad Fund. Tracy, thank you so much. I promise you we will never forget today. We will never forget the day Tracy told us their house is a house of pregnancies. Don't let the pastors know your address. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me acknowledge the presence of the NDC parliamentary candidates aspirants, Whole Central, and he happens to be also the convener of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, Whole Collective, Mr. Kofi Edem Botosu at the far back. Thank you so much. Now we're ready to cool off. Before Honorable joins us, we want to have some small fun and get the place heated a bit. Let me introduce you to this gentleman. He's not a singer, he's not a rapper, but I bet you he will get you on your feet to dance. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for LMG. Yes!
Right, there he is.
Hello. Oh, hello. Shall I show some love? Show some love. Thank you. Okay, so I'm very happy and so honored to join you today to share my talent with you, okay? So we're about to have fun, okay? So feel free. If you know the song, you sing along, okay? So I play this little instrument called the harmonica. So should we play the song closer? You know the song closer? You know the song? Okay, let's play it together. We can't jump down like this. Say 1, 2, 3, let's go. Who knows this one? That's right. One, two, three, listen. Let's go. Everyone to rock song. One, two, three. This one too. this one too. Say some love, say some love. Yeah, what's it? Do one last song. One last song. Today's Friday, right? Today's Friday, right? Okay, listen. Okay, we have Jackie Fans here. Thank you for, okay, let's listen. Hey! Last one. Okay. Oh. One left to the left side. Okay. One right to the right side. Okay. How many shoulder? Okay. Listen. Fine girl does the waka. My head, my neck, my waist. And so then, hey, you know, my head, my, say what? Okay, let's do this one. name is LMGH. Following on Instagram. Amazing stuff.
Okay, let's settle in as we continue with the program.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Guys, now you need to pick up your phones and do something real quick. So the amazing stuff our sponsors are giving out to the next 20 people to follow Obaasima Summit page on Instagram and Facebook. Just type in Obaasima Summit, hit the follow, and I'll call out the first 20 people to do that right now, right here. Harriet!
Yeah. All right, get on your phones, please. Get on your phones. You don't want to miss out on this one. Right, so let's continue with our Beyond the People's Cause. And for this is like his space, his territory. So we are happy to have him with us today. And
wow, what a good Friday. I really, honestly, wouldn't have loved to be anywhere else on this Good Friday than to be here. I want to thank the founder of the Obaasima Foundation, the dynamic, hardworking, exemplary, visionary, and admirable feminist, Mame Amaprat. I just love her determination. This is my first campus version attendance, and I'm really in awe. I'm so amazed about the electricity. And I must say that I have really learned a lot today. And I want you to render a very loud round of applause for our first speaker, Tracy. Isn't she amazing? Many young ladies will dream about marrying Sarkodie, and to them, that's where they want to end their life. Just be a Mrs. Success, and then that's it. be spoiled at home and live the soft life. But here she is telling us that she wants to have her own reputation. All we can say is that we wish her good luck. But that's inspiring, isn't it? I mean, to be married to Sarkodie and to still want to carve your own niche and to chart your own path, have your own destiny, and not to, as it were, be totally subsumed and consumed by your partner. That is, to me, the biggest lesson from today, listening to her. And particularly for you young ladies, you should be inspired. And you should tell yourself after listening to Tracy that you be remembered for who you are, not for who you marry or who comes into your life at any point in time. I want to salute all of you who made the choice. In Ghana, on Good Friday, there are so many programs. My constituency, there's so many programs, so many activities today, tomorrow, Sunday, and beyond. The Easter festivities are booming and sizzling. And you could have decided to attend any of those events, but you chose the Obaasima UHAS edition. Right. And I want to commend you for that. This is an important first step where, as organizers, as speakers, we are not hunting for you, leafleting, chasing you, doing room to room, house to house, searching for you to hear our message. But you are willingly responding to publicity and making the choice. So that, to me, is a very, very great testimony. And I must say that the quality in this room, everybody who has taken the mic, right from our SRC president, and I was so humbled when he said he looks up to me, because I'm beginning to look up to him already. You know, such a fine brain. These are the kind of student leaders we want to see. When we see these student leaders, then we feel proud that people will also look up to us and say that, yes, student leaders have a contribution to making national development. There are some kind of student leaders, you meet them, you hear them, you see what they write, and you are hiding. You don't want people to remember you as a former NUCS president. So UHAS, you made a great choice in electing this very sharp SRC president. Very, very good guy. All the women commissioners who have spoken, I am amazed. Very, very impressive speakers. And then what I like about this program, I drove here this morning thinking that I'm coming to talk to the youth, only to arrive and to see our beautiful, intelligent mothers also in attendance. And their contributions have been so amazing. I've learned a lot from them already. Our first mother who spoke, the ghetto children. I mean, it's going to be one of my policy initiatives when I go back to North Town. How do we stop children from giving birth to children? And ending this whole ghetto proliferation. It has to end. We must be reducing the numbers in the ghettos and not multiplying the numbers. And then our other mother who spoke about understanding and the example she shared about her own marriage, how to them She doesn't see what this whole jostling is about. All this positioning and all this animosity, all this fighting for roles, who is superior, who must do this, these so-called traditional notions, traditional definitions of who must do what in a marriage. She says that they take turns. If you come and eat her husband's fufu, you may not even believe that the husband prepared it. And that is all about understanding. And one of the lessons that all of us should learn from these senior citizens who have spoken is what we call knowledge. So don't just seek degrees. Degrees you have is not equivalent to the knowledge that you possess. And sometimes knowledge comes from the rarest occasions, from quarters that you don't even expect. So I don't judge people by the number of degrees they have. How many times haven't you tuned to your radio stations or switch on your televisions and then they call somebody Professor Ko Minini and he opens his mouth and even grammar is an issue. And you wonder, how did this guy get his professorship? And after struggling, wasting your time for over an hour, listening to the chap, you don't acquire anything. It's virtually a waste of your time. So, always remember that degrees, certificates, so-called chains of certification is not commensurate with knowledge, with who can impact in your life. And so I have learned a lot from the senior citizens who have joined us today. And it tells us that in our work, in our organization, in our activism, we should still get closer to the senior citizens. You cannot buy wisdom. And what they have learned experientially cannot just be taken for granted. So I'm really impressed with the quality of the gathering, the exchanges, and I really couldn't be anywhere else. I want to wish every Christian here a happy Easter